Bonjour mon petit chifle, Amber here, and honestly I am slacking so hard with videos. Before we get started, please ignore my janky nails. But it is almost exactly halfway through May and I still haven't filmed my May wrap-up. So that's what I'm going to do today. I just tried to film my fake rate unboxing, but I don't think that's ever going to see the light of day. I'm sorry. In May, I completed 5 books. I completed almost 5 books. Sorry, the air conditioning just came back on, so I'm going to try to talk a little louder because your girl needs to get a proper microphone. Most of those books completed. The 4 out of the 5 were all Asian books because in May I took part of the Asian Readathon hosted by Reba Cindy. It was the first readathon I've ever participated in because readathons are kind of stressful. So let's dive into this. What I liked about the Asian Readathon was that along with the challenges, the 5 challenges of the readathon, there was the added twist at the end that with every book chosen, each should represent a different Asian ethnicity. So the first book I completed during the Asian readathon, I'm going to stop saying that for every book, completed the task of read a graphic novel with either with an Asian main character or written or illustrated by an Asian author. And for that I read The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jin Wang. This is the first real graphic novel I've ever read. I'm not really too into graphic novels. It's never really been anything that I've reached for, but I did really enjoy this book as a first venture into graphic novels. So basically what this is about is Sebastian, who is the Prince of, where is he? The Prince of Belgium, I believe. He is staying in France for the summer, and basically it's a tale of him and Francis, who becomes his best friend / dressmaker, because while Sebastian is the prince and the future king and his parents are actively looking for a wife for him, he has this sort of alter ego, or this hidden reality, I guess, where he likes to wear dresses, and like I said, he has this alter ego where by night he is this like fashion icon, budding fashion icon, Lady Cristella? Is that who? Cristalia. And it's basically about their friendship and what happens when Frances realizes she doesn't really want to live hidden and in his hidden and has dreams of becoming this like successful fashion designer. Okay, like I said, for the 1000th time, this was my first real graphic novel that I've read. Really did love the art style and the coloring, the color scheme. Like, look how cute this is. It's so adorable. I really enjoyed the art. I thought the story was really cute. There was like this sweetness, this innocence about it that I really enjoyed. That being said, while it is very sweet and innocent, it's very sweet and fluffy to me personally, and the whole story seems kind of surface level, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I was expecting just a twinge more from the story, and it all seemed to happen, the whole storyline, the whole progression of the storyline seemed to happen really quickly, and maybe a little too quickly for me. I do know a lot of people love this story, rightfully so. It's very cute, but I just think graphic novels just really aren't really my thing. I do think after reading this I will possibly venture into the world of graphic novels again, so definitely leave suggestions below of what some good graphic novels are. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. This is also the only book that I took active notes for. So the next book I read in May completed the challenge, the task of read a book either featuring an intersectional Asian character or written by an intersectional Asian author. And for that book, I read The Weight of Our Sky by Hannah Alcoff, which is a book I've been really excited to read. I picked this up a while ago, one of my Books of Wonder excursions. This book is about Melody. I believe she's 16. Basically what happens is she finds herself caught in the middle of the Malaysian race riots of 1969. The story starts, she and her best friend are at the movies when all of the violence breaks out. The story takes us on the journey of her trying to get back and find her mother, who was at work when all of this happened. And on top of all that, Melody is living with obsessive compulsive disorder. She believes that there is a jinn living in her head, or possessing her, I guess, or she's cursed by a jinn or something like that. And he is basically making her do all of these things, her little tics, I guess, under the threat that she or her mother or the people she cares about will be killed. So trying to remember all the thoughts that I have about all these books, because I only took notes on one book. I thought I wrote down what I thought about this book, but I liked this book. Like I mentioned in my reading vlog, I think that the setting is really interesting. I don't ever remember learning about said race riots in Malaysia. I also mentioned I think it's really interesting to read about racism sort of with a different lens, racism in other countries and racism between different races. And then that being said, I don't know if it was, I think it was a me thing. I'm gonna say it was a me thing. I didn't find myself, one, retaining too much about what was going on. I felt like I was just going through the book and just kind of floating through the book. I didn't really become too attached to any of the characters the way I wanted to. Felt like I wanted more from the book. I wanted more to actually happen. But at the same time, I get that a lot of the story was Melody's struggle with her mental health. I do like that there was a situation, what could have been in another book would have been turned into like this big coupling relationship that would have probably taken over the story. And I do like that was kind of, I was worried that the seemingly like budding attraction between Melody and another one of the characters, I thought it was going to like become a main part of the story, and it kind of was just squashed. Not to spoil anything, that's because I felt like that would have been really appropriate for the situation that we're in the book. I do wish that there was more closure towards the end with some of the stories. It felt like a lot of loose ends that I personally would have wanted tied up. That is King's Mill, and that's where I had my junior prom. Anyway, I feel like this book could have afforded to have been just a little bit longer, just to give me just a little bit more. I don't remember the rating that I gave this book, but I'm gonna go with like 3.5 out of 5 stars. Let me see if I can find it on Goodreads really quick. Did I not rate it on Goodreads? Oh, okay, I didn't rate it on Goodreads. Possibly because I felt just at the time, too disconnected from the book to probably give it a rating. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. So, the next book that I read completed the challenge of just read any book by an Asian author. And for that, I read The Library of Fates by Aditi Karana. First of all, I love this cover. I say this every time I hold up this book. This book, where did I get this? I got this book back when I did my Harry Styles book haul. And I have been meaning to read it ever since then. So I'm glad I finally had a reason to read it. Basically, this book is the story of Amrita, who is the princess of this province, and she's basically been betrothed to this evil, awful emperor. Long story short, chaos breaks out in the kingdom, and Amrita has to team up with Tala, who is an oracle that has been enslaved by the emperor, and they're on this quest to find the Library of Fates and rewrite their fate, both of their fates, so that all of this destruction and violence doesn't happen. And then at the same time, it's the story of Amrita finding out a lot about herself that had been hidden from her and kept from her. So that's this book. That's all I can really say without giving too much away. Now, this book, here's the thing. When I first started reading this book, I was really, really into it. I was sucked into it right off the bat. I had a lot of high hopes for it. It kind of gave me, not in the way that the stories are similar at all, but it kind of made me feel a little bit like the way I felt the first time I read The Wrath of the Dawn. And then as we got further into the story, that changed, and I didn't love it as much. I started finding like issues I had with it, problems I had with the book. And then after I read it and sat with it, the more things bothered me. So let's see how much I can remember, because I really should have taken notes, especially on this one. So first and foremost, I feel like all of the relationships that Amrita held within the story just felt like inconsequential, and that they were just there just for the sake of the story. Nothing felt like real or developed, really. Like I mentioned in my reading blog, she needed a friend, so Tala was born in. She needed a love interest. She needed this, that, and the other. So it was only like to progress the story. I don't know if that makes sense, but they didn't feel real or like solid, basically, or like fully fleshed out. On top of that, I feel like the side storyline and the revelation, the revelation about Amrita, I felt like that was kind of unnecessary. And what I'm about to say isn't a spoiler, but it could be slightly spoilery. I love like mythology in any sort of form, and I love stories that are involving like mythology, like the gods and goddesses and whatever. But I felt like it wasn't really necessarily for this story. I felt like it was simply just thrown in for a plot twist. And then there was the way it ended. I just felt like pieces were put together, and that I feel like this book could have benefited from a sequel. So that way, a lot of what happened at the end of the book could have been better developed and fleshed out and then explored. And then the conclusion, possibly. I have no idea when this stopped recording. Hi, hello, future Amber here. I am editing this video, and I realized that this clip that I'm talking about ended a lot sooner than I realized, and I was just babbling away, so I'm gonna jump in, finish what I was saying about the one book, and then introduce the next book. So what I was saying was that I think that the Library of Fates really could have benefited from a sequel. That way the whole sequence bits at the end could have been its own separate story, and that could have been developed and fleshed out more, as well as in the first book, the relationships and the story, I guess in general, the characters could have been delved into a little more and developed, and we could have had a more quality story. And then I also said that That all that being said, I do believe that that the book, I can still consider it, I will still consider it an underrated book, being that there are a lot of very popular hyped books on Bookternet and that aren't really that good. I've read some that are so popular and the quality, so I feel like even though I didn't particularly love this book, I still think it's better than some books that are getting a lot of praise in the book world. I also said that there is a chance that I might reread it again sometime in the future, see if I missed anything the first time around, and I'm definitely gonna keep it for Bookstagram purposes. And then I went into introducing the next book, which was the group book, which was 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, edited by Ellen O and Elsie Chapman, which is an anthology of 15 retellings of Asian myths and legends with some awesome Asian authors, including Roshni Chokshi, Melissa De La Cruz, Renee Atia, my queen. So that's, I think that's all that got cut out. So if not, I'll see you again in a second. So I am just going to go back and re-say that I really, for the most part, liked all of the stories in here. There was one that I couldn't really vibe with, but it's whatever. Some were, you know, this is good, it's fine. But there were also some that I really, really loved. My favorite one was still Star-Crossed by Sona Charipotra. And I really think that could be a full novel. I don't know why it's not. I don't know who to petition to make it a full novel, because it really could be. That's what I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil the story. I really did like it. And I also liked, what is the title of this one? Bullet Butterfly by Elsie Chapman. I really liked that one also. What I also really liked was the fact that how familiar I was with a lot of the myths and legends featured in this book. Some I had already heard of, whether from my own like personal studies or from other books that I've read in the past. I gave this, I think, I'm gonna pull up Goodreads again. I think it was a 4 out of 5 stars. Because I really did enjoy this. I don't know, I think I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, once again, loved this, loved how, I mean, we know I'm a sucker for retelling anyway. I'm a sucker for you. Sorry. I'm so sorry. And I just really love how these stories are revisited and retold. Great, so those are the books that I finished in May. I started, there was a final challenge for the Asian Readathon that I was attempting to finish, or attempting to meet, and just never got around to, and that was to read a book by an Asian author written in their native tongue and then translated into your native tongue. And I have started reading The Beast Player by Naoko Uehashi, which has been translated from Japanese. I'm still reading it. I'm currently 130 pages into it. And I saved this for last on purpose because this is the biggest of all the books that I was reading, so I knew it would take me longer to get through it. I'm disappointed that I didn't finish or meet or successfully complete all the challenges, but I am enjoying this book. I'm still not 100% sure what it's about, but it's the story of this young girl who basically has had to flee from her village, and I think her mother sent her away to protect her, and then she discovers she can talk to these majestic creatures in her land. That's all I know of, like, the big plot for sure, as she's been basically taken in by this beekeeper. That's all I got so far. And then I listened to, on Audible, I completed it in like the first week of June, so I'm going to count it because I listened to most of it in May, and then I'll probably talk about it again in my June wrap up. I reread, I listened to it on Audible, Legendary by Stephanie Garber, because I fully intended, I don't know, my reading this month is not happening right now. But my intention is to read Finale very soon, as soon as I finish the books that I'm reading right now. So I wanted to brush up the same way I did last year when Legendary came out. I listened to Caraval. Yeah, I still really like Legendary. I like it a lot more than I liked the first book, so I have high hopes for the final book. I think that covers everything. But like I said, it's almost the middle of June. And I'm having trouble with my reading. I think I kind of wore myself out between the readathon, like forcing myself to read never ends well, and then all of the drama that happened like the last few days of the month and the first week of this month. I think my brain is just trying to like reacclimate from all the stress and anxiety. But I'm working through, like I said, The Beast Player by Nihoko Uehashi. I've also started reading We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal, which I am really enjoying it thus far. I'm 78 pages in, but here's my issue. I don't want to force myself to read it because I don't want to dull the experience of reading it, because this was such a highly anticipated book that I don't want to ruin the experience at all. So that's also stressing me out. Living my best life. So after that, that's when I hope to read Finale. And then I don't know what else. So thank you for watching this if you got through all of it. That was my May reading. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me for some bizarre reason, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down here so you can follow me, and I'll follow you back. And I will see you very soon.